Oh, hello there. Welcome to, hang on. Sorry, no, cut that.
Okay.
Cut that.
Just get yourself in.
Yep. Jamie Firth, Fringe Festival Support. Jamie Firth, Fringe Festival Support. Jamie Firth, Fringe Festival Support. Okay.
Right,
Okay.
come on, Jamie, let's do this.
Okay. I'm Jeremy Firth. This is Flunk Finkerton Shoe Shop. Hi there, welcome to Fringe Festival Support. That was a cold open, or a bit as we call it in show business. We're not sure whether that works for us, but we'll see. We are Fringe Festival Support. We're a community spirit chat show where we invite performers and workers at the festival to come on and talk through how they get through the festival. It's a tough month for everybody, so we like to get some hints and tips from people who've done it before many times, or some newcomers that have fresh takes on it. All of the information in order to contact us will be magically up here on the left of me. We have our Twitter and our website and an email address if you want to get in touch, send us any questions. We also have our GoFundMe so that you can donate to us, and that's the first blagging I've done this year for that, but we'd love to get some donations because we're completely self-funded and not eating until about October at the moment. I have two fantastic guests with me today. Hello, sirs.
Hello.
Daliso Chaponda. How are you?
Yes, I am Daliso Chaponda, Malawian comedian extraordinaire, in your little studio today. Just saying hello. How are you doing?
Good.
Excellent.
It's nice to have some enthusiasm. It's like it's 10:30 in the morning. Most people just come in and like
Coffee helps.
Whoa! And we also have Tom Mayhew.
Hello,
How you
I'm
doing?
Tom Mayhew. I'm slightly less enthusiastic because it's early in the morning, but yeah, stand-up comedian here in Edinburgh. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the tea.
That's quite all right. Yes. Oh well, now you've mentioned the tea, I do have to point out that we are actually sponsored. Our tea is sponsored by Yorkshire Tea, which is very kind of them, and they sent us a little card with best wishes on it.
Can they send me
that's
some?
their plug. Yes, we'll make sure we get a sack.
Was
Sack for every
the
guest.
entirety of their sponsorship a box of tea bags?
I don't want that sass. I'm delighted with a box of tea.
It is. I'm just saying.
Our water is sponsored by Scottish Water, comes straight out of the tap. So how are you guys doing? Are you up and running? You started? We're on day... Now, is this day one of the festival?
Theoretically, but
I've
done... This is going to be my fourth show. So I
Yeah.
came in 3 days ago. I did one show which I wasn't fully happy with. The second show, not fully happy with. And then yesterday was the first one where I was like, aha! The Lego pieces have clicked together.
Right.
And it's the show I want to be doing all month.
Cool.
That bodes well for me because I've done 2 shows so far and I wasn't happy with either of them. So
Number 3 is the one.
Tonight's going to be the one. It's going to be amazing. It's going to finally click into place, which is yeah, it's that weird thing where you do your first show and then you get the email from the Fringe going, the Fringe has started. You're like, I've done my show yesterday. I don't really know why you're telling me this.
I'm already exhausted.
Yeah.
What do you mean it started?
Yeah.
So you're into your previews. Are you looking at audience figures yet? Do you bother with that stuff?
I try not to. I mean, my shows, you can buy in advance or pay what you want. So the reality is that I can worry about ticket sales, but it's just like doing a free show in that the audience will be who's there on the day. I can't actually predict who will just turn up on the day. So I just try not to worry too much about it.
Yeah, cool. We try not to do plugs on a show, but what I usually do at this point is say, what sort of venue are you in? You're in a free Fringe venue? Which one is it?
It's the Mash House. So
Mash
it's
House.
£5 in advance or pay what you want.
Right.
7:30.
What sort of time? Yeah, 7:30. That's a nice start.
Random
Yeah.
time. Just and that's not one. I can't plug, can I? No.
No.
So, but that's a good time to turn up at the Mash House in the bottle room. 7:30.
Absolutely.
And I'm not plugging, but I'm in something related to something you blow, like a bit of like a balloon
Right.
of some ilk, one that has been stabbed, a gilded one. Not really, but sort of where I'm performing. And I'm doing a show which sounds a bit like blah, blah, black sheep, but it says blacklist. Instead of one of the words. It could be instead of blah.
So you got the name in as well. You're
Yeah.
not wearing a t-shirt. That would have been...
That would have been very clever. But really, I just like the BBC, you don't plug? Oh, how interesting.
Well, it's not about the show. We try and make it about the festival itself and the
I see.
experience, because this is for performers and workers, and none of them want to come and see your shows. None of them. Not a single one.
Well, what a waste of time. Just go home then. Fine.
No. It's just the members of the public will.
No, it's all right.
come
They
to it.
actually, I think, will come to a lot of our shows near the end because they've got passes to watch it for free.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have a builded ballon.
Yes,
pass.
if I
Yes.
do have a built-in ballon pass.
So how many fringes have you been up here for? What's
So
this?
I have done, this is the fourth one.
Okay.
The first time I came, I did a package show, which was myself and three other comedians, and that was the least stressful one. And then since then, I did a one-man show, and it was atrocious. I lost 10,000 pounds. I got ill. I was very upset, and I was like, I'm never doing this again.
You
And
lose 10,000 pounds, you're going to get ill.
You're gonna get ill. Yes.
You're pretty skinny at that point.
And then 2 years ago, I did well in Britain's Got Talent, right? So I came back with a different kind of, I knew people would buy tickets now.
Yeah.
So I came back and I didn't lose 10,000 last year, and then this year is the fourth year.
Just like 5 or however much it is,
Exactly.
depending on the
Exactly.
accommodation cost.
Yeah.
And presumably that also means you're not like flyering at 1 in the morning to try and get people
No,
in the following day.
I've got people who flyer for me, and then sometimes I join them more like a prop. So my flyer has a flyer, and I'm like, just point at me, come to me, and just kind of do silly things while they're flyering. And it's a good way to do it. I mean, you lose a lot of money, but it's like an advert. It's a big paid advert.
Yeah. How are you handling it?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's like my full fringe. I did a two-hander as well. You know what you did.
Yeah.
Then I did a solo show, which again it probably lost about £3,000 or something like that. And then I didn't do a show last year because I was skint, so I just did like a compilation show because I couldn't afford to take up my show. And I'm back this year hoping to only lose £2,000. That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah. Bring it down £1,000 every time.
If you lose £2,000, that's a good Edinburgh.
How
That's
crazy
a
is
very
that though?
good
It's crazy.
Edinburgh, actually.
It's always amazing when like talking with other performers, like they just understand that, they take that as read. But if you talk with members of the public, it's like, oh, you must clean up at Edinburgh, like you must make so much money.
No,
It's like,
no
are you
Street
kidding?
performers do. Street performers do. So some people do, but not comedians.
So what sort of a skill would I need?
A juggle or something.
Some sort of juggling.
Yeah, some
All right.
sort of juggling.
Do like 2 balls. I'm not sure I'm going to clean up on that.
But the way I look at it is that there's no way where you have like a comedy gym where you can do a show 30 times until it becomes brilliant, right? And Edinburgh is one of the only places, because every day you tweak the show, by the end it's amazing. And I'm going on tour afterwards. And so I'm like, I'm paying 3 or 4 grand, which I'm going to lose, but it's an investment to make my comedy better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a training exercise.
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember that I was always really impressed with the Marx Brothers. When the Marx Brothers were doing their films, they would take it on the road. They would do it as a stage show
So
on like
clever.
vaudeville for
Yeah.
like 200 performances, and they knew by the time they filmed it, they knew every line. They knew exactly
Yes.
where the laugh was. They knew that if they put a half-second extra pause in, they'd get a bigger laugh, and then they were really regimented. So that's what we're doing then.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
200 shows on the road.
I think also there's just so much more audience here that you can just get a bigger audience than you'd get elsewhere, like across the month. Because I did some previews in Manchester, and one had 8 people, the other one had 1 person. Whereas in Edinburgh, there's so many people here that odds are there'll be some gigs. I mean, there will be some gigs that do have 8 people, but there'll be some that have 30, 40, 50, and it's just because there's so many more people here that it makes it worth it for finding an audience and performing your show to actual real people, and it's just a place to be. It's just all your mates are here, everyone's here.
My favourite and least favourite moment of the Fringe is the 2 minutes before you open, and people with passes.
Yes.
So the system, for people who don't know, the system is that if you have a pass for a certain venue, then you'd be able to get in for free, so long as the show is not sold out. So if there's still space left in, if you just sort of hang around near the entrance, they will let you in. And so there's this brilliant moment where all of the paid audience have come in, and you're like, oh my God, there's only like 3 or 4 of them. This is going to be terrible. And then you think, just I hope that there's a big,
Yes.
and then this influx of like 10 people walking in. You say, thank
Yeah.
goodness, there's an
Yes.
audience.
Very much so.
So our primary focus on this show is about mental health and sort of performers struggling.
Wait,
getting
it's about
through.
mental health, and you're speaking to performers.
Yes, because
You have not thought this through.
because I mean, there's no golden ticket through the festival.
No.
Like everybody deals with stress and tension in different ways. Everybody's going to have a different experience at the festival. Some people will have a fantastic time. They'll just coast through it. So we're here to interview people who've been there and done it, in order for first timers to see it and go, oh, they had a bad time to begin with too, or they're still having a bad time, fantastic. So do you remember your very first?
Yes. So I made a lot of mistakes the first few times, and now I have a process which works for me. So essentially, the first time I just kind of partied and did my show and didn't now and that's part of why I got ill, part of why I had a bad experience. Now I look at it like a job, right? So I book in as many shows as I can in a day. So in addition to my show, I'll do a storytelling show, I'll do an interview, I'll do a package show. I put in as much as I can. And then I wake up, I go to all of so like today I'm doing 6 different things, right? I do all of them and then I go home, right? And I don't go party unless it's like an industry party. And even then I'm not going to party, I'm going to meet people. And I'm just like, this isn't my fun month.
Yeah.
This is my work month. And looking at it that way is actually how I survive, because if you get like hungover, the ripple effects is then you have a bad show, then you feel bad, then you have another bad day. It's just like, no, it's just like a marathon where I'm really boring and just do loads of shows.
Yeah.
And that keeps me going.
A lot of people last year said it's a trade show. You have to think of it as a trade show. I mean, when you're young and it's your first couple of times, make some silly mistakes. Come get drunk and see a bunch of stuff and stay up too late. But if you're going to treat it as as this is part of your career path and this is your investment in your career, then self-care is something that you really need to be thinking about. But it's interesting that you do so much late in the day.
So much, yeah, I do so much. And then the other thing is I walk everywhere, which is useful just health-wise. So I walk like 40 minutes to the venue, 40 minutes back. But also, random people as you're walking will be like, hey, I recognize you. And you're like, yeah. It's like you're a walking advert.
Yeah. Oh, I get it all the time. Constantly. Constantly.
Yeah. Do you not get really shattered doing that many shows a day?
I do, but to me, I'm like, well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. And each one is helping sell the main show.
And so it never affects your show, do you? You never feel worn out before a show? You're always fine.
No. Part of the thing is I do different jokes.
Okay. Oh, seriously.
So in my show, I do the new show. In my appearances, I do last year's show.
Oh, that's clever. That's really clever, yeah.
So I'm always excited to do the new show when
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
time to do the show.
Oh, I see. I'll have to try that. I'm going to do that, yeah.
It's great.
I'm going to go through all my old material and go, what can I still use?
It's interesting because I was saying just the other day, we could just replay all the same stuff we did last year. No one would notice.
Nobody would know. But there's so many things about human endeavors where actually you could do that, right? In that there are enough books in the library to read forever and never have a new book, right? There is enough movies to watch, everybody to watch a different movie every day and never have a new one. So if it was about that, we don't need to do anything.
There's too many movies.
What you're saying is the entire arts festival is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because we've already got enough art.
But it's a glorious waste of time. It's like I will never be as funny as Richard Pryor. It doesn't mean I'm not going to try.
No, of course, but yeah.
That's the hashtag for next year. A glorious waste of time.
Yeah.
I'll pitch that to the Fringe Central people. Stick it on the front of the brochure. How do you cope with? So your show is
7:30. Yeah.
at evening. That's a nice time because you kind of can build a routine around it.
Yeah, I try and get up sort of in decent time, sort of,
In decent time for the show, like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, literally well, some days, yes, some days, but generally I'm trying to get up about sort of, 12-ish, if not slightly before, to try and give myself a few hours to sort of prepare and just sort of make sure I keep going over the show and keep thinking of new ways to promote it, new ways to, get people in and just sort of, do a bit of flyering about the hour before the show. But I try and make sure I'm up in good time because you don't want to get up, run out to the show and literally be like, oh, I've had 2 hours, I've been up for 2 hours, and suddenly you're going to be awful in the show because you've not been awake, you've not woken yourself up. I try and make sure I have some good food before the show. I know some people, do you eat before shows or do you?
I generally eat directly after the show.
Okay.
Yeah, but my show's early enough.
Oh, I see. See, I always try and eat before the show. That's what I try and do. I don't know why. I'm always worried I'll be hungry in the show. And I'll just hear my tummy rumbling, and then I'll be like, what's that noise? And I'll be like, being heckled by my own stomach or something. It'd be horrible. So yeah, I just try and, get up in good time and try and make sure I don't stay out too late. I'm not really drinking at all. I don't really drink that heavily anyway, but just, I mean, A, money, I can't really afford it, and B, like, you know, it's the thing, you are trying to do this as your job. You know, I've already known some people, this French, who have performed drunk or high or whatever, and I'm like, do you want this to be your career? If so, you need to cut that out, because you've got to be professional, and part of being professional, like, when I worked at Sainsbury's, I couldn't turn up drunk, so I'm not going to do that at a gig. Simple as that.
I would go to that Sainsbury's.
Okay.
I think Doug Stanhope used to do a routine where he was, people in the front row complained that he's just drunk up there, and he said, I'm doing comedy, I'm not driving a bus. It's like, what do you care?
But I think he's the exception. Doug Stanhope is the exception, because
Or
there are a lot
Johnny
of
Vegas or
comedians who
someone like
think
that.
they're funnier drunk.
Yeah.
And then you watch them sober and you're like, no, you're funnier
You're
sober.
not funny either way. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh dear. So if you needed help, where would you go? Do you have go-to places?
I feel like well, the good thing is I have a lot of friends who are up here. So I would be most likely to speak to a friend. Because that's another thing I didn't mention about the mental health thing, is that I found I used to get depressed the first times I did it, because I would hang around places and people who are industry obsessed, who are like, oh, whoever got 2 stars, whoever got whatever. And it was just very depressing and competitive. And then I found a few friends who just do the show, have fun, are not really bothered by that, and I just hang out with them and stay, have lunch with one of them, and we get along well. And if I ever was struggling or feeling depressed, they're who I'd speak to, just close friends who are comedians too.
Yeah, I'm sort of very similar. When I did my first show in 2017, I was staying with some friends, but it kind of meant I was basically felt like I was staying on my own, because they'd go out to work, they lived here, and I'd just come back on my own. Whereas this year, like, I'm staying with some comedians, and I'm also staying with my girlfriend, and it's so much nicer to have that sort of community there where however the show goes, I can either talk to my girlfriend, and she'll go, oh, it wasn't that bad, or she'll kind of keep me level-headed, or the comedians will go, oh yeah, I forgot a bit in my show as well, and I'll go, oh yeah, I only had 4 people in as well, and it kind of makes you feel like, oh shit, we're not alone. It's all like everyone's sort of doing similar things, and you're not the only person who's had a rough 2 shows. I think my show last night, I came out of it and it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and I was like, oh crap, this whole festival is going to be a disaster. The first 2 shows have gone shit. But then you come in today and you said the same thing, like, oh, the first 2 weren't great. And it's like, hey, that's everyone. That's absolutely everyone here, apart from the egomaniacs who lie on Twitter and go, yeah, I smashed it. And you're like, you didn't, mate, did you? You probably had 2 people in, and you're just saying that because that's part of your...
Sold out again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's that thing where you get down reading social media a lot, I think, but...
Yeah. Also, social media isn't people's real lives.
Exactly,
it's their postcard.
Yeah.
It's what they want people to think.
Yes. And so it's really interesting when people get depressed comparing themselves to not even a real version of someone else's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about that a lot. I say the reason that we sort of don't, when I said we don't plug shows, we don't really talk about like what your show is, because this is the opportunity to, like, a very rare opportunity in Edinburgh where somebody says, how are you doing? It's not, how is your show going?
No, how are you?
It's like, how are you doing? And like, I think
it's nice.
that's really important.
It's refreshing, really, to be honest.
Well, so, I mean, you bump into like a fellow performer and you say how you doing. The first thing they'll say is, great, good audiences, like, reviews are going well. Or they'll just start bitching about, like, the venue's terrible, and like, I've got a problem with the roof and it's leaking, and it's like, it's not always about that. It's just like, how are you? What are you doing? I've been trying to get to the cricket for the last, like, 3 days, but I've never got there because we're busying ourselves. But it's like, it's not always just about the shows.
No, it's true. It's true. You're human first.
Well, debatable.
Okay, you're a performer first. Then.
I was going to say, Fringe Central have a program of events right here at Fringe Central in the Appleton Tower. They have a lot of things going on which are very similar and cover, there's a whole section on mental health and talking about arts and how to get advice on how to get people to your show and marketing information. And this is feeling a little like a plug, but it's because it totally is, because I think they do excellent work, and I don't think enough people know what's available here. I think people know that there's, like, facilities. There's an internet cafe and stuff, and like, you can kind of come and pick up your
I thought of another one
bags.
too. It's like also eating healthy stuff.
Yeah.
Because you could
Yes, yeah.
you can pizza it out, but after a week you're going to be ill, and that's not going to help you. And it's all the fast food is so easy to get,
Yeah.
but it legitimately can ruin you.
Especially given the times that you're likely to be
times you're
eating,
performing, the
especially if you're
late
like
night
if your show's at 7 and you don't want
Yeah.
to eat beforehand, for example, then it's going to be like 9 o'clock, and by that time the only things that are open are
Yeah.
wow. You can still go to a supermarket, get a banana.
Yes. No. So
there is
that's often
this
it.
there is
Yeah.
this myth that like in Edinburgh, oh, there's just no.
No, it's
you
also
know,
having a lot at your flat,
yeah.
because then you're like, oh well, it's in the fridge. I might
Yeah.
as well walk home and eat it there.
That's what we did. First thing we did when we got here, did the big
Yes.
shop
Yes.
down to non-named supermarket to
My
fill the
favourite,
fridge.
yes.
Yeah, brand-free supermarket.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of it is
Do they
also.
have that in England? Sorry.
Sorry, you go.
In Canada, there's actually a brand called No Name.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's a brand
That's
called
clever.
No Name.
That's really
and
clever.
It's like
What's it worth now?
that would be hilarious to find out. But yeah, there's
It's like
a,
you accidentally plugged them just now when you weren't trying to.
Yeah,
yes.
I was just making that up, but okay, I'll check their shares. We'll see what we can get. The other important thing, when you were saying about drinking, it's something that's always on my list to mention. It's very important to drink a lot of water
Yes,
to stay hydrated, or drink delicious tea from any number of suppliers, but especially.
I think also in terms of like food, a lot of performers, they see this as a holiday. So they think, oh, I'm on holiday, I'll get a takeaway, or oh, I'm on holiday, I'll get myself this, and they just do that every day, because they kind of forget that no, it's a month-long holiday, which means you're going to spend a month eating kebabs. Or they do the thing where they go, I've had a bad show, I'm going to treat myself to fried chicken, or I've had a good show, I'm going to treat myself to fried chicken, and they end up every day eating the same things, and it's like,
There are a lot of deep fried options.
I think you
up
just
here.
need to think and just be careful with yourself and your body, because otherwise,
And most performers are living probably 20 to 40 minutes walking distance, outside of the center.
Yeah.
So in every direction there are temptations.
Yeah.
At every corner, and the only ones that are open if you're walking home at night are usually not great options. I like that. I think we're gonna adapt that. Because, make sure your fridge is stocked.
It's stopped.
Make sure you have something to eat when you get home.
Yes,
in
and
the
then in
fridge
the
when you
morning,
leave.
if there's something there, again, it stops you from doing excesses. Now, this is totally off subject, but there's something which I did the last 2 days, which I really enjoyed, which I'm going to try to do the whole Fringe, is now I happen to be performing somewhere where outside there's a bar, right? So I tell the audience that if they want to discuss any of the jokes I did or any of the subjects I brought up, I'll be out there. And it's wonderful because both days someone has stayed, a few people stayed one day, one person stayed the other, and then you talk about what you just did.
That's really
And
interesting.
it's really, I don't know why, but it really is nice because you feel like, oh, they actually heard what I was saying, or even one of them had a problem with what I was saying.
I was going to
but
say,
it was still a wonderful conversation to have.
Is it you're looking for feedback, or is it
No,
there are
no,
subjects?
no. I wasn't saying say it's funny or say it's not funny. I was
Sure.
just saying. So my show happens to be about very topical stuff,
Right.
right? That people disagree on, right? So it's open to discussion, right? But even if it wasn't, even if I was just doing one-liners, I would still be interested what people thought, what it brought to their minds and stuff like that. And it was just really, really nice.
And you find that therapeutic? You find that?
It created great conversation. One of them made me tweak one of the jokes, but also just part of why I'm doing a show is because the world right now, there's a lot I don't know the answer to. So I'm not even preaching something. I'm saying I'm confused, people. Are you confused too? And then we discuss our confusion outside, and it's wonderful.
That's really cool.
Right.
I hate getting notes from directors, let alone.
Yes, but this is
What
what I'm
members of the
saying. No,
audience?
but I even make a gag. I'm not saying come and tell me that it was terrible and walk off. I'm saying if it made you think or you disagree with a statement I said, we can talk about it. And then we have a chat. So it's not a feedback, because feedback would be crushing.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's lovely though, because I can remember the first time I came to the Fringe, not as a performer, as a punter, and the really exciting thing for me was wow, you can actually talk to the comedians. They're right there. It's not like when you see them in a theatre where you don't see them. It's like, oh crap, you actually can talk to them
It's
after the
amazing.
gig. And for audiences, that's lovely. That's
lovely.
They'd be like, oh, I saw your show, and I got to chat to him afterwards. Oh, you should go see him, and that's like a real selling point for people. And it shows you also as being more sort of warm and more of a nice actual human, and more like gives you, I'm going to do that. I'm going to nick that. Can I have that?
Do it. And
Awesome.
I still remember how valuable to this day is. I saw Richard Herring, who's amazing, right? And he did a show about death a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I happened to run into him in a cafe the next day, and I talked to him about the thoughts I'd had about death and that he'd put in my head, and it was such an amazing conversation. And he was able to tell me, well, he read these other books while writing it, and I should read this, and it was just, it's such a rich exchange.
And I think that sort of feedback is so much more genuine than like
Yeah.
social media feedback. I've
social
seen people
media's
saying,
a
"Oh,
nightmare."
please, when you've come and seen my show, please take to social media and at me to give me notes on my performance, like jokes you didn't like, what you didn't like about it. Please do that.
Yeah.
Please don't do that."
No.
I've started doing a couple of because things come up quite regularly from performers saying, "Yeah, I hate it when that happens." I'm keeping a list of all of these sort of things to try and put on Twitter. I was tweeting this morning to say, if you're a performer, please don't overrun because it affects the show that's coming after you.
The act before me, we've had to send someone to have a talk with him because he was doing a Mugabe and just not leaving.
And it's like the least important part of your set isn't so important that the next person needs to suffer for it. And also, if you're an audience member, please don't leave early. Like, don't come in and say, "I need to sit near the door because I'm going to have to leave before the end." It's like the end is like the most important part. Please don't spoil it by going out. Just schedule your time better.
I think that one is beyond our control sometimes because they may have scheduled, because I know that I'm not one of the top marquee shows, right? That's why I'm at 6:30, because I know a lot of people want to see the famous person at 8.
Right.
And they'll be like, "Oh, let's go to that." But I know they're not there to see me. I am wasting their time before they get to see Ed Byrne or something. Do you know what I mean? So I fully understand why they need to disappear, because they need to go walk across to wherever the show they actually want to see is. So the leaving early, I understand.
So your show next year, a really convenient place to hang out while you wait for Mark Watson.
Exactly.
Perfect.
That's exactly my role. And it's good to be that act, right? Because 4 years ago, I wasn't even the one who you waited for someone to go. So I'm happy to be that little.
I think maybe with like strict stand-up comedy, that's okay. I think my feeling was more like theatre shows where when your sensitive blackout moment at the end is like there's a fire door being opened and there's light pouring in, and
I see your point.
people outside running back and forth trying to work out where the toilets are, hand dryers, the sound of the hand dryer. It's like, I think just commit to the full hour.
That's all kind of Edinburgh, I suppose. So there's always going to be people who will do that. You can't lock them in. You're not allowed to do that. Sadly, they don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They sort of.
You have to send that bike lock back to the shop.
It's also these things because I don't swear a lot in mine, right? I don't swear at all. So there's some families who've just come in because they're like, this will divert the kids. They're not bothered. And we're like, it's not a kids show. They're like, but there's no swearing. That's all we need. And then you have these audience members who literally don't want to be there. They're just like, well, at least our kids aren't going crazy. So I'm like, I'll still rather have them than no one in there. So I feel the cool but also horrible thing about the Fringe is you have weird audiences.
Yeah.
When you do a comedy club, you know what's coming in. We will have people who barely speak English coming to watch English stand-up, right? I had a person from Korea day before yesterday who the person next to them was translating the jokes, right? There's so many things like that, but it's just the spirit of Edinburgh, and you just roll with it.
It's interesting because you're saying you're doing like kind of contemporary satirical, like current affairs type stuff in the show. But I mean, you mentioned earlier you were on Britain's Got Talent and did well. You did very well. You came third.
Yeah.
You must be like quite mainstream now, and I guess Britain's Got Talent does have quite a young audience, like a family audience.
So I do get a lot of families, and but my show is adult themed, but I don't swear, right?
Okay.
And we say 14 and up is recommended. But someone snuck in an 9-year-old, I'm not going to chase them away. I was just like, they might not. I talk about Bill Cosby and what he got in trouble for, and I talk about Louis C.K. and what he got in trouble for.
Okay.
So there's some adult themes, even though I'm not effing and wording it up.
Sure.
So essentially, that's what I tell them. It's like, if you're okay with the subjects we're discussing, that's okay. And it's amazing. They usually are, because one, kids are watching far worse than I'm saying on YouTube. But still, it's very weird talking about that with a 9-year-old in front of you.
It's interesting that films are legally, like, films have like a legal age limit. It's like if you're 15, you can't get into an 18 film. And it's nice that, I think, you know, with theatre and comedy, generally the rule is like, look, we think this is suitable for like 14 plus or 18 plus, but I'm not going to stop you coming in. If you want to bring your kids in, then, but it's on your head.
It's on you. And I always, at the beginning, will say, I will call attention to that. I'll say, it said 14 plus. I know some of you have snuck in. I'm not going to swear, but I'll talk about stuff. And if you feel it's too adult and you want to walk out, no problem.
50 of them. Whoosh, gosh.
Were you not tempted to do the Bill Cosby stuff on Britain's Got Talent? Would they not allow you to do that?
You know, the Bill Cosby stuff is so inoffensive.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because again, I'm not defending him. I'm condemning him. You know what I mean? Like,
That would be more
no, the
sensitive.
truth is, on
Yeah,
Britain's
of
Got
course,
Talent, I talked about slavery. I just did me. I just happen to be a comedian who's compatible, because I'm not super filthy and I'm not talking about fisting or anything like that. I'm very compatible.
Yeah. Right. No fisting.
I don't think that would work.
Tom, your show's it's like it's bleak as hell, isn't it? Really depressing, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Of course it's not.
It's not. It's about like some sort of depressing subjects, but it's very funny. It's it's about being unemployed and sort of being on benefits and stuff like that. But it's not bleak. It's not. There's lots of jokes in there.
Okay.
And then there's maybe there's a bit of a bleak bits near the end, but it's not supposed to be. I think sometimes people can get confused. They go, oh, that's a bit of a serious subject, so it won't be funny. It's like, no, it's still a comedy show. I've still spent the last year writing about 251 liners that are within that show. It's still got a ton of jokes in there, But again, like I had someone say to me, oh, would it be all right for my 8-year-old? And I was like, well, I mean, there's not much swearing, but also I don't want to steal their innocence of a hope they might have for the world being nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even throwing a puppet in there wouldn't like pull that back.
I mean, maybe I'll try it just to get that one extra bum on seats. Just get
Yeah.
Kermit the Frog out and just be like, right, okay, you watch the frog while Tom's over here saying some dark shit.
We did a super bleak theatre show the other year, and we had the kids zone like next to us.
Yeah.
And at one point in the show, in like one of the bleakest moments, the Peppa Pig theme was played
Oh,
on horns.
Oh no.
Oh, mate, that's pretty
fantastic. It's like well, we're now a
Yeah.
kids show because
Yeah.
there's some content
There
they can
is.
enjoy.
But I also think it's interesting. Kids actually, it's almost self-regulating. Because I remember as a kid, I watched Pretty Woman with my family. Then years later, when I saw Pretty Woman, I was like, she's a prostitute? I had no idea, because as a kid, you just wouldn't compute that. And so I think there's a level of, if they're truly innocent, they won't get your mature themes. And if they get it, it's too late.
Yeah. For years, I just thought Psycho was, about a hotel owner. I thought it was sort of it's like Faulty Towers, similar sort of setup.
Yeah, like all the Disney films. Like when some people were like, "Oh, so sad when Mufasa died in The Lion King." I was like, I wasn't that bothered. I was just watching the singing warthog. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I wasn't that bothered. I was like, no, whatever, mate, it happens. I didn't really care. I was just distracted by the bright colours.
I think I was 39 when I realised that The Lion King was based on Hamlet. No clue. And I studied Hamlet for A-level.
Oh, wow.
That's how bad that was.
Oh, I had such a bad experience with a dead lion.
Okay. Hold everything.
No, not an actual dead lion.
Start the show again. We're going to do an hour on this.
It wasn't the Lion King. Essentially, this was what happened. So my father was a diplomat, right? And so other ambassadors and so on would come to the house for dinner to discuss serious stuff. And myself and my brother, we'd be dumped with the little kids to take care of them. And it was very important we don't upset the kid of the French ambassador, because it could be. Now, we decide to put on the cartoon of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, right? Yeah. Oh my Lord, Aslan dies violently at one point in the cartoon. A little kid begins weeping and bawling. Oh, we caused such problems. They were like, "What are you showing these kids?" And we're like, "Just wait 5 minutes, wait 5 minutes."
And
Oh,
that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Brexit happened.
exactly.
Just kids' tea party gone wrong,
Yes,
and away we go. What are you looking forward to most for the month? What would be a big win for you? What are you hoping to do?
Just nice audiences. Just I think for me, I'm at the stage where just every year I want to just come and get slightly bigger audiences, get slightly more well known, and just more people being like, oh yeah, we saw his show and it was good, and just making slight steps. Like even things like in 2017 my show had the first preview day had 2 people, whereas this year the first preview day had 7 people, and it seems like just such a small thing, but it's just nice to feel like, oh no, it's growing, it is actually going up, and
It's 4 times the audience.
little steps like that. I'd like to. One of my little goals is I'd like to just sell one show out. I've never sold out a show in Edinburgh, so if I do that, I'd be like, okay, that's the first time I've done that. That would be a nice little thing to do. But apart from that, I think it's just about getting your name out there and getting more people to know who you are, and just trying not to take yourself too seriously and trying to keep your brain alive and not have a mental breakdown. That'd be nice.
Right, we're going to run a campaign for that then. We'll get Tom sold out one day. We'll pick a date. We'll make sure everybody's there.
Yeah, okay.
You can't have the same wish.
No. My wish is no. I just want the show to become amazing because again, for me, it's like this is a comedy gym, so that I can tour it afterwards. Yeah. And every day I change some stuff. I try out new jokes, and I just want to, at the end of the month, have this smooth, well-geared machine of a show.
Is there anything Edinburgh-wise that you'd like to do? Have you done Arthur's Seat? Arthur's Seat's my thing.
No. That's the thing. I want to watch one show which isn't mine every day.
Okay.
Because like I've done an Edinburgh and watched one show.
Yeah.
And gone home and been like, I had such an opportunity. So this time I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the show.
Yeah.
That like I find myself. Well, I saw 2 shows last year and was very annoyed at myself because I was like,
really?
I'll get to it.
Yeah.
Well, I saw our show like 30 times.
Yes, but like it's also there's some astonishing performers here.
Yeah.
And I can watch them with discounts.
Yeah.
How can I not take? Like, how can I not? I remember when I was a student in Canada during the Just for Laughs festival. We used to try and blag our way in to watch people. Now I can watch people, and sometimes I don't go watch them.
Yeah.
So.
And there's so much different stuff as well. It's like
there's music,
just
dance.
Yeah, jump all around the catalogue.
Cabaret, or everything.
Go find something weird.
Yes.
It can also sort of help you in your own head sort of deal with how your festival is going, because like yesterday when I did my second show and I wasn't feeling great about it, but then I saw someone else's show like an hour later. And I was like, oh no, actually, your show was a bit similar to mine, that the audience wasn't full, and you clearly were still trying bits out. So it made me feel like, oh no, we're all in a similar boat. And just seeing people's shows, it makes you realise that, oh no, we're all in this same little boat. We're all just trying stuff out. We're all trying to get there. And it gets you out of your head, and you go, no, it's cool, it's fine. We're all working on this. I don't think there's anyone who will have the same show on the 1st and on the 25th. I think everyone's show does change, otherwise.
Why bother?
Well, this will make you feel better. I did a storytelling show yesterday with 1 audience member.
Sweet.
And 6 performers. It was absurd.
Brilliant.
It was absurd.
Nice. Did they enjoy it?
I think they enjoyed it, but it was like we performed for the other performers. But I thought it would be cancelled, but they're like, no, we're going ahead. I was like, okay.
I think it's nice. It's nice to end on a positive there. I think to remember that it's the biggest arts festival in the world. Like,
and sometimes you have one person.
People have to spread themselves quite thinly around this place. Guys, thanks so much for coming in.
That's
it's been a lovely
Thank you for
chat.
having me.
We're going to be back tomorrow with some more. Oh, we're not going to be back tomorrow. We're not going to be back tomorrow because this year we're not doing every day. We're going to have a leisurely walk up Arthur's Seat, I think. We'll be back on Tuesday. Just double checking there, yes, Tuesday. Tuesdays to Saturdays. And do remember that next week, if you like the content, you can come down and sit in our audience and have some free tea and watch the show being recorded. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon.